So I am Nancy Duncan, owner of Duncan Hearing Healthcare, and I am here today with Mike Fernandes. He's a local business owner in Fall River and runs an elite gym called Infinite Fitness. So how are you today, Mike?
I'm good, Nancy. How are you?
Good, good. So start me off by just kind of telling me a little bit about your business, what it does, and then we'll go to when it began.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, one, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to kind of share some of this stuff. I can always talk about. I love talking business. I love talking, helping people. So, Infinite, we kind of came to light, unfortunately, a couple of decades ago now. When I think about it, but as I was, in high school and actually suffered a shoulder injury myself, where I was told that, eventually I was going to have rotator cuff surgery. And it really limited me. So when I went on and played in college, all I could do was pitch. I could no longer hit because my shoulder used to, pop out of the socket. And it was at that point that, I started to get intrigued with like training and individualization and all that. And then throughout training in college, seeing like all the guys coming in, everybody doing the exact same training program, and knowing that everybody was at different things. And what I really needed to one, from a training standpoint, but then also from a shoulder care standpoint to take care of my injury, is going to be completely different from individual to individual. And, even during that time, like going to, the local box gyms and seeing those same people that step on the treadmill day after day after day and have no results was, to me, it was, an eye opener. And I wanted to be able to help those people. And I thought that from a service industry, as far as fitness goes, that we were doing harm to so many people, because it was kind of like, I always say like box gyms, it's kind of like all you do is rent the equipment. And it's kind of like getting that $1 million contract that you want to build this $1 million home. You ask this contractor, hey, let me give you $10 a month to borrow your tools, and hoping that you're going to be able to build this $1 million home. And we both know that that's not going to happen, right? Eventually,
No.
You pay $10 a month, and they're like, hey, you know what? $10 a month, you can borrow them even at night if you want to, 24/7. And eventually you get sick of paying the $10 a month, nothing's happened, and you kind of give them back. So that was kind of what spurred the thought process behind Infinite Fitness. And then, when I started individually working with clients over 2 decades ago, 20 years ago now, that's basically how I started with it. Was like individualizing training stuff for each person based upon them. And it just grew. My individuals that I was working with continued to grow to a point where it was that, I could no longer keep hopping around from place to place to do it. And that's basically the starting point where I eventually had to open up my own location. I did did like a lot of different group things and stuff like that, but eventually it was just too many people to be able to impact. And, the vision behind Infinite is always about impacting lives. So how do I help more people? And that's the driving force personally for me behind everything that I do. And, how many more people could I help if I had my own facility was the thought. And that's kind of how it went. And I continue to go on those principles that I talked about already.
Now, I know your story, but for others, you didn't initially start off and said, well, I want to be in fitness. You had another career while you were building it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's actually funny. Like I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but I didn't go to school for education, right? But when I was, in college, I was a substitute teacher, and it was that same thing. It was about building relationships and how do I help kids. And I ended up my first I would say big time substituting position was actually in Bedford Public Schools. I took over a junior senior revisited English class. It was like British literature, and I was like lost. They had gone through multiple teachers. Tough to keep a teacher in the classroom there. But I can remember meeting with the department head, what seemed like daily, just so that she could kind of teach me what the kids were supposed to be learning, and then taking that and bringing it to the kids. And that was for more than half a year that I did that every day. And, she said, I don't understand like how you're able to get the kids to actually, these kids need care. These kids, how did you get them to do the work? And I just said it's because they knew I actually was really invested in them. And it was about helping them become successful people, more so than it was just teaching them about, literature. And I think that's the key, is how do you get someone to do the work? So that led to me getting an opportunity to come in and teach in Fall River Public Schools. And, I was there, and what really intrigued me about teaching, what I really loved about teaching was that, man, I was having a chance to chase that dream and that vision I was talking about and impacting people. And I could see the the impact I was having on kids in high school, middle school. And so that, to me, that was very rewarding. But it wasn't the real passion behind what I really wanted to do, right? And, I taught for 10 years. I left 4 of the schools. I went and taught in Swansea for a little while, and I was driven back to Fall River because the passion behind teaching was the impact that I was creating. And I felt that in the city, working with inner city kids, where over 90% were low income in the school I was at, a lot of English language learners, I felt I could create impact. And I went back to Fall River. People thought I was nuts, but I went back to Fall River, and I finished my career there. And yeah, during that time, we expanded from our original location of Infinite. We got bigger, and a lot of cool things had happened for me during that time. Men's fitness, women's fitness. We've been featured there. I got the opportunity to co-author a book that became an international bestseller. And one thing I will say that kept me in education even longer was I had the support of a phenomenal. I worked for Maria Ponce, who's now the interim superintendent of school in Fall River. She was beyond supportive of everything that I did. In addition to my teaching, like I put all into every kid that stepped in my classroom, and I think it was important for kids to see that what you do, you can be passionate about other things and be successful in other areas. And to me, the driving force behind everything I always taught the kids, and this, but inside my office I have what's kind of like a vision board, and it's something that the kids made for me back in. So I left teaching in 2014, and in 2016, I think it was, that, some of the kids that I had were graduating, and apparently they had voted me as their favorite teacher that they ever had. And I was asked to go back and speak at their graduation, which I was honored to do. And I went and I spoke, and spoke at the graduation. A few weeks later, the kids had come over to our facility, which at that time was in Somerset, and they brought me this poster board. And on it, it was just a clear reminder of why I did those years of education. There was not one thing on that board that if you look at it, that tells you what I taught. It was all about those things of hard work ethic, being a leader, being a good role model, all those things that basically helping these kids to go on and contribute to society, as opposed to, I always just say this: you can use your past as a crutch, or you can use it as a catapult to bigger and better things. It's really your choice. And so I look back at my years as an educator, and believe it or not, I'm still heavily involved in the schools. I mean, we're in multiple schools. I've been in the last couple of years. I've been in a lot of schools, and it's just in a little bit of a different format, I guess you'd say. I guess that's the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the two are so intertwined, so closely together. Believe it or not,
Well, they really are, because to this day, I mean, you're still educating. It's just a different topic.
Yeah.
And I know when I met you, your gym was in the building my office is in, and you were teaching early morning classes, and then heading off to work, and then coming back after work to move forward with your student clients in the afternoon and evening. And I'll be honest, I thought you were a lunatic. I thought, what is he's going to kill himself?
You might be right there. My wife thinks I'm a lunatic too. Yeah.
But then, lo and behold, I'd started with you, and then I was working on, trying to have, we do an IVF for Coop. So we're trying to have another, and I said, I got to take a break. And then when we met back up, it was when my son was 10 and coming to you to be seen. And at that point, I kind of viewed you more as an athlete's gym. So I was wrong, because I think you view everyone as an athlete, when sometimes it's just an athlete of life. So tell me a little bit about the wide range of clients you see.
Yeah. So again, that comes back to that individualization. I think that you're right. So you've known me long enough to know that I look at everybody as an athlete, but what I know is that telling adults that you're going to train them as an athlete, to some people it can be scary. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've dealt with people now. I mean, we very fortunate over the years, and I truly believe this comes down to, again, that vision of, you do enough good things for enough people, good things happen for you. And that's one thing I always say, and I always say people don't care what you know until they first know that you care. Mm-hmm. And I think the evaluation, the strategy session is so important, and it really doesn't matter, whether you're an athlete or whether you're 70 years old, or whether you're a soccer mom that wants to lose 100 pounds, or whether you're coming from a knee replacement. You need to first find out where somebody needs to go. Then you have to find out where they're at from a physical standpoint. And then if with the strength and conditioning, as a strength and conditioning specialist, knowing the background of how the body works and how to fix movement patterns and those types of things, it really doesn't matter It doesn't matter. Like, if you know what the issues are with this individual person, you can fix those issues and then build them how you want. Every person needs to be able to move.
Mhm.
They need
All
to be able to move
functional.
well, right? I say this all the time. Most important thing is you need to be able to move well. If you don't move well, you can't move heavy things well. You can't move well explosively. So whether you're an athlete or you're an adult, you need to first be able to move well. So first is movement quality, mobility, stability, motor control, balance. That makes up the movement quality. Once you do that, then you can focus on those other things. So yeah, maybe a 70-year-old person, what they want to do as far as training and fitness might look different, but they still need to be able to move well. It's up to me to be able to find out why are they not moving well now, and be able to help them do those things. And then when it comes into the overall, the finishing touches, those can be targeted so individually. So what's happened over the years is, we've had athletes that have come in and athletes that have had great success and gone on, big college scholarships, professional contracts, and that obviously leads to more and more. But we've also, and I think we're known more as sports performance, obviously because of our name, sports performance. But I think at this point we have guys in over 12. I think we have more than 12 major league baseball organizations of guys that have trained or trained with us now, numerous Division I scholarships. But we've also helped multiple people who's over 100 pounds. We've helped people get back on the field. We get Tommy John surgery, ACL surgery, disc herniations, you name it. We've had over the years come in, and we help people to get rid of that pain too. So it depends on what that goal is. Sometimes it's get somebody pain free first, just get them pain free, and then help them with the other stuff. And I could go on and on about that stuff, how I get, but when you get me talking on a topic I'm excited about, man, you guys have a good time.
This will be a 3-hour show, folks.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that brings me to my next point, your enthusiasm is contagious. You make everyone believe they can do anything, to the point that I jokingly went into your office one time and told you that I wanted to be a fitness model, which anyone who knows me knows that's a little bit of a reach. And you were like, yeah, we'll get that happen. I'm thinking, and for a split second, I almost believed it. So where does that come from, that you get up every day? And I know you're up like I am at 4 a.m., something like that, crazy hour. Where does that come from?
I think it comes from really having a clear vision of what it is you want to accomplish. Like, a mentor of mine said to me, early on in my career, live a life worth telling a story about. What's your story? So how are you going to be remembered, right? And I think it's having a clear-cut vision. And one of the biggest things I always tell people that I see every single day is, how do I help more people? How do I raise strong children? How do I be a better husband? 3 things I ask myself every single day. And, like I said to you before, people don't care what you know until they first know you care. So I truly do believe those things. I truly believe anything that you want in this world is 100% possible. I truly believe if you're willing to put in the work that it takes to get it.
Right.
That's the key, right? And in 2014, I received an award. And I tell this story to everybody because it's funny to me when I think about it. You can find the video on the computer somewhere, and it's funny because I didn't realize I had to do like this red carpet interview, and I found out like the last second right after I got my award, and I basically repeated myself like 5 times in a row, I feel like, and I laughed. But when I went back into after the interview, I went back into the auditorium, and one of the original Sharks on Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington, was also receiving an award there, and when they read like why I was getting my award, it was like 5-10 seconds. They started reading about all this guy's accolades. It was like 5-10 minutes. They were going on and on. I had like this big like aha moment. I was like, my God, if this guy can do all that, he's got the same gym 24 hours in a day that I do. You better figure it out, Mike. Stop making excuses for yourself. So I truly believe it, and I think like when I look back at some of the things that I've been fortunate enough to accomplish in my career, I always tell people, if you were to go back and ask my high school English teachers if they ever thought that I would co-author a book that became like an international bestseller, they'd tell you probably like, you're out of your mind. Yeah. English was not my thing, right? For me, it was numbers. I was good with numbers, but writing and that stuff was not my thing. But you know what? When I had the opportunity, I committed to it. I worked really hard. I took a lot of time on it, and I believe that anything is possible. But you have to grasp it here, and you have to be willing to take the steps to get there. I think to so many people, they like, it's one of these things like, oh, I'd like to be in good shape. Oh, I'd like to play professional sports. Oh, I'd like to make $1 million. Like, well, who wouldn't? But are you willing to put in the work that it takes to get those things? If you are willing to do the work, I promise you can accomplish anything you want.
I don't like salads, so I'm not going to be a fitness model. Let me just put that out there for everyone. But the other part of this is, everything's going well, your business is growing, and then here comes 2020 and a little thing known as COVID-19. How did that feel when it hit? What were your thoughts on what was next, and how have you made it through?
Well, I can tell you, I made it through with a lot more gray hairs than I ever had before. That's for sure. Yeah. I think one of the things is you either, somebody had said to me at one point, I forget what book this is from, but as a business owner, it's making the right decision when there are no easy decisions. Mm-hmm. And I can remember, when this was happening. So I actually, at the time, was running a coaching group with 50 other fitness business owners in there at the time, and in conversation, and I'm also into masterminds with some other high-level guys as well. And in this time, it started to become pretty evident that something was going to happen, right? And it's either we sit back and play defense, or we go on the offense. And to me, I just looked at it as clear-cut survival. I said, your mission. If your mission is to change lives, you change lives no matter what. People need you now more than ever before. Like, people are going to be sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing. It's a perfect reason. The stress is out through the roof for most people. They're probably eating garbage. They're probably drinking more than ever, and they need you more than ever. So you're either going to do what you were put on this earth to do, or you're going to do like a lot of people are going to do and just say, I don't know what else to do. And at that point, there was only one option. There was one option. We were being forced to close our doors, and what do you do? And I did everything possible. We loaned out, we loaned out over $7,000 worth of fitness equipment that we loaned out. Like, people signed it out like a library book. And
I signed out the squat rack.
Yeah, you took a squat rack loading the squat rack into your truck. I mean, we loaned out, everything. We loaned out pretty much whatever anybody needed. We needed. And we operated 100% remotely. And we lost a ton of members, without a doubt. We still lost a ton. But you know what? We were able to survive. And I said when I looked at it before I made this decision, and before I brought it to my team and I talked to the other owners about it, I know not only do people need me more than ever, I also said my team is depending on me for a paycheck. My team is depending on me to, pay their bills. Yep. This is not just a decision that's going to affect me. And I sat in there and I told my team, listen, I don't want to get emotional talking about it, but I remember saying to them that I will not pay myself before I not pay you. Yep. Because I felt that was the as a business owner, that was the responsibility that I took on. It's what I raised my hand and said, I'm going to do this. I didn't. Yep. And we got the PPP and all that, but that was for 8 weeks. We were forced to be closed for 16 weeks. I know a lot of people out there say, oh, you got the PPP, no big deal. And it's like, yeah, well,
they have no idea.
Well, no idea. But I stayed true to our roots. It was like, we are going to deliver a service, and we are going to deliver it like nobody's ever delivered before. And what's kind of come from it, which is pretty cool, is we've had people that, now that our doors are back open, that have said, like, don't do away with the remote. Please don't do away with the remote. Mm-hmm. We have people that are doing live sessions with us that are on vacation. We have one woman that's still a member, and she's living in North Carolina right now.
Wow. She
moved to North Carolina, and she's still a member, and she's still taking part. And I think, like, holy cow, like, man, that says something. That says something about, being able to find a way. Yeah. And, it's some other cool things have really come from it, right? It's that relentless pursuit of excellence, which is one of our core values. You got to get up earlier sometimes. You got to stay up later sometimes. And we worked on a lot of things, and we were able to do stuff for different schools. At the time, I remember we had this opportunity to do stuff. So as I'm watching, our revenue just kind of start to plummet down, an opportunity came to do something for Westport schools. And it was for free, no money. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? People need us now. I didn't get into this business to make money. I shouldn't say I didn't get to make money. I didn't get into it to get rich. I got into this out of the passion of helping people. And I said, you know what? Everybody's having a tough time right now. You know what? This is going to take some of my time, but I'm willing to donate some of my time to be able to help, thousands of families in the town of Westport. So we did free stuff 3 times a week. Myself, Coach Nelson, Coach John, they helped with the video and all that stuff. And we did it for Westport. And from that parlayed into us doing camps at Westport. We did a camp at Yerby High for over 100 athletes. We did camps for Dayton Rehoboth Regional. We're now in the Dartmouth High School weight room. We did camps there. And I truly believe it comes back to, when you make a decision that's based on helping other people, good things kind of come back to you full circle.
Well, and what I always try to teach my son is that you don't chase money, you chase passion. The money will follow. And that's how you have to live your life, because there are speed bumps in the way. There are things that happen. Who would have thought a pandemic would come and we'd all be scrambling to reinvent ourselves during it? But it is what it is. And that's how the strongest survived. And so I think that just goes back to, I really think of Infinite as a hidden gem in Fall River, because many people do not think of Fall River as the epicenter of professional athletes. But you have some of the best training every day coming to train there. So tell us a little bit about some of the athletes you've worked with that you are able to talk about.
Yeah, I think, one thing I always say is, it's a testament to the team, right? Because when you get to a point where there's only so many people that one person can work with. But I think that was honestly the force behind me even coaching some business owners too, is about taking what we do and being able to, how do we impact more people? And I think it's important to team, right? So we got guys on our team that are truly committed to the vision, and they are, when they're committed to the vision, they're able to help impact more people. So we're at the point now where this could not be a one-man show by any means whatsoever. And I think having the right people on the bus and the right seats on the bus, right, is that Good to Great book would tell you. Anybody that's ever read that book will know. It's about having people in the right seats on the bus and the right people on the bus and in the right seats on the bus that help to make that happen.
Forward.
Yeah, and I think, God, at this point we have guys in multiple. I can tell you that the first athlete ever, and I think this kind of helped us get off the ground, was my brother. My brother played 8 years in the Red Sox organization. He was an undersized kid that, you can go back and he could tell you that, as a kid growing up, he used to always tell him he was too small, wasn't big enough, nobody's ever going to give him the shot. And he became a 12th round draft pick by the Boston Red Sox, and went on and had a pretty successful baseball career as a professional baseball player. And I think that's what kind of opened the doors for us. I mean, and over the years, we've just had more and more guys that have come through. It led to me getting the opportunity to be the head strength coach for the New Bedford Bay Sox, which was top tier Division I baseball players coming in from all over the country, working with and evaluating these guys and helping them with some individualized, programs. We've had, athletes that have come up and stayed with host families. One particular story that I think is a really cool one is we had this one guy. Was from North Carolina Central University, who came up. We evaluated him over the summer. He was throwing 91 miles an hour. We took a look. He saw a lot of restrictions within his hips. In a matter of 3 months, this guy started hitting 97, and it was like, holy cow. But the crazy part was, he was a 6'4", 250 pounds, and everybody's saying, just keep doing your thing. You're killing it. He ended up becoming the first guy in North Carolina Central history to get drafted by Major League Baseball, and it led to him sending another kid up to train with us. A couple of years later, that was a shortstop who spent some time with us and ended up being the second kid in history to get drafted. But at this point now, we got, obviously, Jorgen is the local guy. I think that many people around here will know of. A lot of the pro guys that we've dealt with over the years are guys that are literally coming from other states. Not even as many like homegrown guys, but currently two big names, local grown right now that are currently going through the big stuff is Colin Ahern and Brandon Duran. Any local, anybody big in the sports scene around here kind of know who they are. Brandon going to University of Kentucky, Colin playing at the University of Tennessee. Two huge guys that came out here, 12 years old, started training with us. I would say, local Fall River, you're looking at Jorgen is probably the big name. He's got some big news coming up pretty soon. I think that you'll probably be able to hear from him. But, I think, to me, I always tell the guys, though, believe it or not, that Jason Medeiros is another one that comes to mind. He pops to mind. He's actually going to go do some stuff down in D.C. now. He's graduating from Brown. Super proud of this kid. He's going to go and work, I think he's doing working for national security. But he was a high school kid that came in as a 180-pound kid that wanted to play Division I football, and coaches tell him to stick to baseball. And fast forward a few years later, 40 pounds heavier, a half a second faster on his 40, playing Division I football and being a leader at Brown University at the same time, getting a great education And then going on to do what I always say to every athlete, I care more about you becoming a successful human being than I do about you being a Division I athlete. Like, yeah, that's great, but someday along the line, baseball, basketball, football, MMA, it's going to be over. What kind of an individual you are, what kind of a father, what kind of a mother, what kind of a brother or sister are you? That matters more to me. Another cool story too, Krista Chauvin is another awesome story. It's a little bit of an older story, but she was a local like Division III athlete going to UMass Dartmouth, gold speed Division I, represents the U.S. in the Olympics. She, goes to UMass, breaks the school record. She threw the hammer track and field event. She broke the school record at UMass Dartmouth, broke her own personal record again and again, goes to the 10 relays, does really well there at Gardner-Webb, offers her to go to grad school down there, have 1 year left to throw. She's training with us on the side, goes down to Gardner-Webb, first outing, breaks the school record. We have on our Facebook page, you can see we actually hooked up our computer to our projector, and everybody that was training at the time, we shut the lights off. They watched her on ESPN, one of the top 20 girls in the country. Here's a local homegrown kid from Seekonk, Massachusetts, one of the top 20 girls in the country. I mean, it's pretty awesome stuff. I mean, it's just, but the end of the day, I get just as much reward out of helping an adult that, had major setbacks. We have a woman right now that comes to mind right away. She's had 10 major ankle surgeries in the last 14 years. Has been to multiple gyms that told her, the trainers are told there's nothing we can do with you. You see a little rabbit popping up here? My daughter in the background. She had, multiple places where the trainers told, like, hey, listen, there's nothing we can do for you here. Over time, she gained, some weight as well. I mean, now at this point, we just did a post probably about within the last month in our private group, but, not only is the pain pretty much gone for the most part in her ankle, but she's down 40 pounds at the same time. Like, that to me is just as rewarding as a kid getting a college scholarship, because at the end of the day, the results are truly I pat him on the back and say, congratulations, you did the work.
Right.
And that's the cool part about success in business, in fitness, in training. At the end of the day, the person that you look at in the mirror is the one that's responsible for your results. You can have all the tools on the side, patting you on the back, but you got to do the work, just like school.
Yep. And I think what I've always appreciated about the gym that, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a member of, is it's so unique in that here you are working out right next to professional athletes. And sometimes they're the most humble people in the world, but you're no different. You're not treated differently. You're given as much instruction. Sometimes they're asking you for help. You're asking them for help. So it's just such a great environment and a great family feel to it. So I do appreciate that part of it.
Thank you for that, because that's the vision. That's what I had. I wanted a place where, especially from the female side, females tend to feel uncomfortable coming into a gym, right? That's probably why most gyms you go to, you see the women huddled around the cardio equipment, right? Because they feel like embarrassed to go in. That's not happening inside of our facility. We've turned people away that have come in and wanted to, because we don't feel that they're going to be a good fit, or they've come in and wanted to just use the equipment. And it's not. We are a family atmosphere. We're a team there. That's why it's called Infinite Family. Everybody supports one another, and you see it, because you see I mean, I don't know. Jorgen had one local flight. I know he just fought in Miami, but he had one local flight, and I don't know how many tickets he sold. That came right out of Infinite. There was a ton of tickets that people that went to watch him in Providence. Yeah, right out of Infinite. How does that happen? I think it's cool. I mean, we have members that older members that train with us that were in their 60s and 70s that still will reach out to me via email and say, hey, how's so-and-so doing? How's so-and-so doing? And I think, how cool is that this became a place for people that was not just about fitness. It's about overall surrounding yourself with other people and being successful. I always say I want Infinite to be the best part of our members' day.
Yeah.
You go to work and you're stressed. Most
gyms you go to stress how you look. No matter how many times they tell you it's about your health, they stress how you look. And Infinite, they really work on how strong are you? How are you feeling? How is everything working? And it's not necessarily about how you look, because that might not be your sport. There was a boy one time that went up to my son and said, I was built like you, don't worry, it'll all hit and it'll all come together and you're going to do great things. I mean, these are great athletes saying that to my, 12-year-old son. So, I think that's a testament to how you have the atmosphere there and set the tone.
Thank you. Yeah, I always say attitude reflects leadership, and that can be it could be in a good way, it can be in a bad way. And at the end of the day, I take responsibility for the good and the bad. If things don't go as planned in anything, it's starts at the top, I say, and I need to do a better job. And it's just I sit back, and I have a good friend of mine now, but he started as an intern for us way back in the day. Then he was working with us for a while, and he's gone on to do some amazing things. And he had said to me, I was speaking I spoke at St. Luke's Hospital for a bunch of like medical professionals and stuff like that on basically on long-term success. And he said, man, have you ever taken a second to step back and reflect on some of the things that you've been able to go on and do? Because it's pretty darn inspirational. And I said, very rarely, because I'm always like grinding, like, how can I help more? How can I do more? But, you know, sometimes I do sit back and I'm like, holy cow, like, it has been kind of cool. But I also feel like it's okay to do that. But to me, I get worried about the biggest thing, which is complacency. I don't ever want to get complacent. I want to chase more, be more. And, you know, my kid's a super big like inspiration for me. Because, you know, I think I lead by example, and from a training standpoint, from a you know, a working standpoint to a effort standpoint, because it comes down to effort. It all comes down to effort. The natural skills, nothing special about, you know, my natural skills. It's just I'm willing to freaking work so much harder than most people. I know that.
I'll take the hard worker any day over the natural athlete. It's just
100%.
That's the person you want to be with.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's the illness of being an entrepreneur is there's never a peak because you just keep climbing. There's always that next level, which isn't a bad thing, but it can sometimes make you crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, Nancy, is I think that, you know, it's easy to get into so my vision's really clear to me, but it's very easy to get into the, when I get to here, I'll be successful if, and to me, like, it's hard not to fall into that, but I always look at it as like, I am successful because I'm able to do what I enjoy doing, and I'm able to kind of create impact. You know, it's not, I'll be successful if I make X amount of money. I'll be successful if I have this many clients. It's not, to me, like those, when you look at, I always felt like if you look at things that way, when you hit those numbers, they're very unsatisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're not enjoying the journey to get there.
That's the key, right? It's enjoying the process. And that's what I talk to people about. People come in, they talk about, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds. I want to play in the major league. Those are like outcome-based goals. Those are like, you only win if you accomplish those things. And then instead of falling in love with the process-based goals, right? Mm-hmm. We got to fall in love with the process. I always say it's like Miley Cyrus. It's all about the climb. It's what's the process? Like, man, it's getting up at 5 a.m. and putting in the work when I know everybody else is sleeping and doing X, Y, and Z. It's staying up later. It's being willing to get up earlier on these days to do X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to do the process? Because you hit that process every day, day in and day out, all of a sudden you look up and holy cow, in front of me is that outcome-based goal that I had set a long time ago.
Right.
So,
right. So as we wrap up, talk to me a little bit about if somebody wanted to come join or come have a consult, what does that look like? What do they need to do?
Sure. I mean, so two things. One is, you know, they can obviously message us on Facebook, Infinite Fitness Fall River. They can go on our website, which is ifsportsperformance.com. There's a form there, our contact, our numbers there. All of our information, obviously they could Google us as well. Instagram at ifsportsperformance. And then what would happen is one of our admins would reach out and set up a one-on-one call or meeting that, you know, these are in-depth meetings. This is not just like, hey, how much do you weigh? Let's go step on. This is all about, we talk about way more than training. It's about developing a roadmap, right? Because that's, I think, what happens with people is they can be successful in school because they have a roadmap. When they
right.
X, Y, or Z pops up, you know, hey, if I stop doing my homework, if Coop's not doing his homework, you're getting a phone call and you're cracking that whip, right? If he's not showing up to school, you're cracking that whip. In life, if you're not showing up for training, mom's not getting called, dad's not getting called. So it's a little bit more like we have to set up that roadmap. We have to make sure that you have a clear-cut vision on where you want to go. And a lot of times people come in, and when I start to dig with where they really want to go, they don't have an answer. Like they don't really know. And if they don't know, I can't help them. So that first session is all about that. So our admin will, you know, set that up, find a time that works for them, a time that works in our schedule, and we'll sit down and we'll meet. We'll dive deep into them. We'll lay out a whole entire roadmap of where they want to go. We'll do an in-depth evaluation as well. We'll look at shoulders, hips, back, movement, quality. And then we'll say, okay, this is where you want to go. This is where you're at. This is what the roadmap looks like. Then we'll put the program together to help them get there.
Right. Well, as always, very inspirational, Mike. And it's not every day somebody can inspire me by quoting Miley Cyrus. So thank you for that. And always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Nancy. Thanks so much.
I would encourage anyone who is concerned about their health, their fitness, just their functional movement, to get a consult with Mike. It can make a world of difference. And you too may see yourself as an athlete someday, no matter what your age. So thank you, Mike.
Thanks so much, Nancy. A pleasure to be on here as always. Pleasure to talk with you.
All right. Thank you so much.